And welcome to the apiary shed. My name is Kiz, and we are going to do a shook swarm on our home hive today. My partner Fem will do the shook swarm, and Ewan Holdridge will be guiding us through the process. We're taking advantage of the good weather to get an early start on the season for our bees. Starting, of course, with a well lit and smoky smoker.
I'll give the hive a good puff underneath.
This may look a little clumsy, but it's our first shook swarm as beekeepers.
Yeah, smell it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Now what? Take the whole thing off and move it to there.
Yeah.
Next we move the entire hive
You go on that
onto
side.
a spare stand.
Tilt it a little bit just to break it.
Okay.
And I'm confident
same way,
it will
yeah, go.
improve as we go along.
Um,
And a new hive
front round.
base
That's it.
and brood box
Front round.
goes in the
I can
space
see you turning the
the
front
original
round.
hive stat.
Just have a look at it.
Smoke underneath, just make sure that you come in.
Now the original hive
They're
gets
starting
a
to use
little
the new
more
entrance
smoke.
already. What's going on here? Okay.
Okay. I'll tell you what, lift the lid off and put it in front of the... this
When
hive.
we take off the
Space
lid,
for it.
it reveals the feeding station hidden by an eek. Smoke is introduced under the crown board,
Okay.
Yeah. You're going to use that fondant that's not
and
to block up the
Ewan
greenhouse?
checks under the crown board
Is it dribbling
for the queen.
Yeah, I see it, yeah. They're enjoying that, aren't they?
there? Quite there for now. Okay, let's find her ladyship.
And now the most important task for Fem is to find the queen. We need to keep her safe. She's the only one we have. We can't afford to lose her.
You might think
These bees were caught quite late last year as a swarm.
It's okay.
They're a bit of a mongrel, but they are very calm, and the queen appears to be laying in an excellent pattern.
I'm wondering where the queen is, so...
Already we see the bees clustering around the location of the original entrance of the original
You want to
hive.
take it in a new box?
The honey super don't matter that much, it's all going to get moved over.
At the end of the last season, our honey super was really quite full. So we removed the queen excluder and gave the bees full roam on the brood box
No
and
sign of her?
the super.
See her there.
So the queen was able to lay where and when she
No, I don't see
fancied.
her there either.
Yeah.
Ian,
Yeah?
matter of interest, what happens if you have a spare empty
can't
super
get
box to put
That'd be
these
great.
straight into?
That'd be great.
We can see that we have the queen,
Get a spare super
but it's
box.
important to find her. And with each passing frame, we get more and more nervous
It's alright, I'll sort that.
in case we've done something wrong or we've lost her.
There's brood in that.
Yeah, unfortunately. Loads of brood. Well, she's around anyway.
You can probably see from the brood pattern that it is a typical and excellent layout, with the brood pattern expanding like a Mexican wave.
There's lovely curly pearls and eggs and everything in there. So this is the centre of the brood nest. She's actually going out quite far now.
So she's probably in here
So
somewhere.
both sides are just keeping that. That is a beautiful example of how we want our laying pattern to be.
Yeah,
Now we are feeling quite proud of our little
Show me
insect.
that again, mate. That's close enough. That's beautiful, isn't it?
There's a beautiful
Proper Mexican wave.
Yeah. We'll shake them all off properly at the end. Just for now, we'll find her and.
You can clearly see our bees clustering around the new entrance. But the queen is regally absent, frighteningly. So many bees, and none of them telling us where their queen is. Where is the queen? We need to see the queen. The queen has a mark on her, so it should be fairly easy to find her.
Was in my face.
It's fine. She's not attacking you.
It becomes quite surprising to see how calm the bees are. Really nice to work with.
Yeah. They're like bears raiding their home. I don't think there's anything in here because there's no...
Our lack of ability to find the queen now has us both genuinely quite worried, although Ewan doesn't seem too concerned just yet.
This is going to be quite
The outermost frames seem to have been hardly drawn out at all.
This is very light, this one. Nothing on that.
Having looked at 12 super frames and not found the queen, we are now genuinely concerned.
Lose a lot of babies then today.
Unfortunately, but how strong is this coming? If you lift that up, yeah, and shake it onto that one, you might well give it a bang.
We've forgotten to check the inside of the box for the queen, the most important bee.
Shake that properly at the end. Okay, that's good. You see the beard in it, the
So now we're going to dive into the brood box, believing the queen to be there. We have watched many people on YouTube doing shook swarms, but ours seems to be taking forever.
Now all of them were shaken into there. Okay. Messed up. If you go for the collie, put them here until we find her, just in case.
Do you have your queen cage ready?
At this point, we are expecting to find the queen bee at any moment, so we check each frame with extra
We
vigilance.
saved the day with that one, didn't we? Yeah, she was on there, wasn't she? Or near there. Come on, girl.
And so for the next half an hour, we searched every frame for the queen. When we couldn't find her, Ewan stepped in and he tried to find her. I've speeded everything up because there's no point in just watching every frame being inspected for the missing royal member. So for our first shook swarm, we all learned many valuable lessons and gained new experiences. And being unable to find the queen was neither a lesson we needed nor an experience that needed to be gained. Life is strange some ways. When all of a sudden,
Oh, there she is.
Yep,
There she is. Yeah.
One second.
Well spotted, young Femi. Or she was on one of the things when we shook the super. Yeah?
Ah, yes. We didn't check the inside of the super when we shook it, and I bet that's where she was. And Ewan puts the queen in a cage and blocks its entrance with a little sugar. And there she is, our queen.
So we can keep her in that frame, but for now, I'll just put her there.
Elastic blanket.
Right. So everything you want to give it a really
We now proceed with a pace to get the bees into their new home. You may notice the old frames had a full card of foundation. The replacement frames have a foundation strip along the top edge underneath the top bar.
Okay. I'll go for
We believe our bees will draw out the comb just as adequately on the starter bar at the top, and they will produce good, strong, clean comb.
These are so well behaved. I shouldn't have said that.
Frame upon frame of bees gets shaken into the new box. This is how a shook swarm is done.
Be poo on me then.
The downside is we lose the babies, the grubs, the larvae. On the positive side, however, we lose the varroa mites that inhabit the cells where the babies are growing. Being free of the winter accumulation of varroa mite is the entire reason and purpose of doing the shook swarm.
We'll stand that at the front. It's alright, go for it.
So now we have the queen. Shook swarming is moving on at a pace, and very quickly the task is completed and the frames are put back into the hive brood box, ready for the queen and her team to start work.
She's going in the middle. So what do we do with her now?
Put it in as it is there.
Oh God.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's get them all in.
Now it's time to move the bees
Got to get a soup, the
into the
trout board
box.
on this.
There's no natural smells in there to attract them inside, apart from the Naznov gland on the queen. So it's a fraught moment because the bees are actually in an alien housing as far as they're concerned.
Okay, so now if you can put your soup on top. Right, move you ladies, you're going to get trapped in here now.
And it would appear, so far, somehow, we have been successful
And then we've got the hive built up.
completing
the wrong way round now.
our first ever shook swarm on our hive
Okay.
at
So
home.
now, all of these frames need to have a one final shake. That super there we're going to keep. So if you want to put the super...
And there's plenty of tidy up and clean up to do, and we will get on with that off camera. If you've enjoyed this, please like,
Now that one is
share,
completely done.
subscribe, tell your friends and grow your queens.